a single document can make the difference between having money in the bank and not having money in the bank. Big contact with music was through church. My mom took me to a Catholic church when I was a kid, and there's a tendency for people to get like tunnel vision, and what an edge operating system manager does is basically just zoom out, is having somebody you can trust to the business owner. They have somebody they can trust that can step out of this tunnel vision and see the whole picture. I'm going to laugh at this, but the idea actually came from TikTok. WhatsApp chats are the actual receipt of how communication goes, how frequent communication is, and what is the specific information that maybe is not considered into the systems. Time is money. So whenever a business owner takes their hands of every single process and every single small detail, that frees them up and it gives them time to be thinking about more strategic processes and making strategic decisions for growth.
Welcome to Inside EdgeOS. It's where we go behind the scene with the people who install an operation system inside of the business, so it stops depending on you for everything. Today, my guest is Paola. She's 25 years old and she's based in Honduras. She holds a degree in international relationship. She figured out on their own what happened inside of the business, and also she decided how she can use WhatsApp to figure it out and make the system more complete. So, Paola, I also would like to hear from you, like, what are you doing? A bit more detailed. How you can introduce yourself if we're talking now with business owner, what you would say.
Yes, absolutely. I'm Paola Sanchez, based in Honduras, and I have a bachelor's degree in international relations. And I would say that being in the EdgeOS team, my profile fits in a great deal in the sense that this international affairs degree actually helps a lot in a sense that it is a very complete training when it comes to anything social, anything that's both how people interact with systems, with processes, how people take part into anything that is a system and that basically has a relationship with a process, with an organization, with a conglomerate, with a society. And that's basically the same dynamics that you can see in the workplace, that you can see in a small business, that you can see in a medium-sized business, and that you can see all over the spectrum of where people develop relationships. And in this case, I would say that the project management background, it's a great deal to implement any operating system, and especially EdgeOS, which gives a structure and gives a specific insight into what can be improved, how things work, and how every single resource can be brought home and managed to achieve a specific goal that every single business has in that sense.
Honestly, it's very interesting because officially you're the youngest one operations manager in our team. And I'm curious, when you have your first call with the businesses who you work with, like, was they surprised of your age? And like, what did you say them? Why and what makes this match between you and business happening? So could you please tell a bit more detail about your first call when you just get in touch with business?
Yes, when I first got in touch with the business that I'm working with, even though that I am young when it comes to people working with JOS as an operating manager, I would say that I actually have around 5 to 6 years of experience with project management. I started very young. Actually, I was introduced to project management by working with web design, and that meant coordination of different teams of creative people, of administrative people, and all sorts of people that were working on their own branches of making projects successful. It was a lot from a very young age, but one of the things that I have learned is that managing projects, managing businesses is more about managing people, their skills, their resources, also some of their limitations, but being as flexible and as understanding with people as possible, that's what brings actual success to any business, to any project, any endeavor that one might have. And that experience of learning as the challenges come, making some mistakes, being more open to listening to people, knowing that one never has all of the answers, but one has to look for the most important answers to get systems working. That being able to bring that specific asset into the workplace and making people feel listened, that they are being understood. That is the most important thing that I have learned in my short experience and at my short age. But that is the most important thing. And once one can incorporate that principle into any operating system, into any business, it brings success to every single one of the parties involved.
Honestly, when I'm listening you, for me, it's hard to believe that you're just 25 because the way how you think and the way how you express yourself, it's honestly, I don't know, you're talking like a CEO of company already like many years and understood like all the processes with a lot of experience behind the back. And do you have your practice in university, how I understand? Because you already understood a lot of different parts of businesses, how it should work, all the system, or it's more because your degree it really gives you all of this like theoretical stuff which you now can implement in your experience with business.
Thank you for your nice words. I would say that it's a combination of both because you can have all of the information in a sense when you're studying and when you go through classes and courses. And I was one to always be as involved in classes as I could be. I was always the one asking questions other than answering them. I like to ask questions. I like to learn, to be the one learning instead of being the one teaching. But one can be flexible in that sense. So I was always trying to absorb information, to absorb different point of views when I was in university, but it's very different when you are out in the world and you're responsible for a system, when you're responsible for a project. You get to learn a lot from the people involved in that project, and that is the only common factor between different environments that I have been in, even if it's web design or working with NGOs, which was what I did when I was in my college internship. I worked with an NGO in fundraising, actually. So I got to learn a lot about how systems work, even if it's for profit or if it's not for profit. The principles are the same. You need structure, you need to set your expectations, you need to handle risks, you need to know how everything works and how deep processes turn an idea into a plan and into a project and then into success. So it was a combination of both of those factors, not only having the information, but knowing what to do with it in that sense.
It's really interesting, but let's talk about you not only from business perspective, because of course today we're gonna speak a lot about money, about profit, how the AJS can change it for businesses. But I want to ask more about your personal life because our podcast is also about operations manager, like a human, like what you like to do, how you spend your Saturday, like how for you your perfect Saturday look like, what you gonna do, with who you maybe like go out, like maybe you have some hobbies, what really inspires you. Can you please share with us?
Yes, absolutely. That is very important, actually, the human part of business. We can never separate those. I am really into music. I love listening to music. I love playing music. I am big on making mistakes while playing guitar. I really like that. I really enjoy playing really easy to play songs like pop songs. I'm really into pop. Actually, a perfect Saturday to me looks like spending time with friends, spending time with family. As you can hear from what I have been saying, I am really big into having lots of social interactions. I think that people are the most important thing in any aspect of life. Maybe it's one personally, maybe it's friends, maybe it's family, maybe it's a love interest, whatever you want to say. People are the most important thing. So I always love to be surrounded by people, even even strangers. I love big groups. So that's one of the main things that I like. I am big on the football World Cup right now. I'm watching as many games as I can.
Mhm.
And I'm a big Norway supporter, and they actually won yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah, it was a good one. It's crazy.
Yes.
They make 3 goals, correct? It was 3 or 2 they made for game.
Yeah, they scored 2 goals, and
Yeah.
it was the same scorer, Haaland. He's very big right now on every social media platform, and I'm really enjoying the World Cup and how it actually brings the world together.
I'm curious because Honduras and Norway. I suppose you're gonna support something like Argentina, Mexico, something like that. But I'm a bit surprised that it's Norway. But I can imagine the blonde, the tall guys. It's kind of a nice type. Can you also tell me more about the music? Like, did you study it in your childhood, or it's just your hobby, or you have some classes?
Yes, my mom supported me a lot when I was first interested in music because my first big contact with music was through church. My mom took me to Catholic church when I was a kid, and whenever I would say that I wanted a guitar, she said that she would buy me one so I could play in church, and I actually did for many years. I think it was like 8 years, and after that, I started just liking pop music, mostly American pop music. And I really like the simple songs that are not that complicated. Musically speaking, I really love them because many people can enjoy them. You can say big artists like Taylor Swift or Ariana Grande. I really like those type of music, and it's very easy to play, and that's why I really like them because I can learn a lot of songs in very short amounts of time, and it makes me feel connected with myself to play a song or to sing it. Even if I do it badly, it's not about doing it great. It's about doing it for oneself. And I really enjoy when I do it with other people too, even if we make mistakes and it doesn't sound concert perfect, but it's great to just hang out with friends and have a guitar and play a couple of songs, maybe around a bonfire. That's great. And that's the impact that music has had in my life, in which I can really enjoy it by myself and with other people.
I mean, it's all about the processes. Even if you like it, it's no way like if it's super good or no anyway. I mean, it gives you energy and motivation to go more and go deep into the work. Also, I'm curious about one question. If it's a version of you like in past few years ago, like, who would not believe you're doing this? What would surprise her most if we're talking about you in past and now? Like, do you see this difference if we compare, for example, you 20 years old in university, now 25-year-old here working as operations manager, working with big business? Because also I know that owner, the company with who you work with, she's very professional woman. She has 18 years experience behind her back, but still, like, what do you think? What's the biggest surprise for you in the past and for you now?
I would say that if I told my 19-year-old version that I would be working alongside a big woman-owned company to make their operations better and improve all of their processes and being the one taking responsibility over this huge operations system installation, I would be very surprised. I think I wouldn't think that I could achieve that, but it's been a long process. It's been a lot of learning how a good operation system looks. And once I got in contact with the Edge operating system, I knew right away that it was a great way to get things in order because that's what sets things up for success. This order having structure, but also being flexible in a sense that it's basically tailored to every single business and how it currently works instead of just overhauling these all of their systems. So I would be very surprised if you would have told me at 19 that at 25 I would be working alongside a great businesswoman as I have been working with lately, and having this accountability about how things are running and how things can be improved. It's just about believing in oneself and trusting the process of evolving into someone that can be that right hand for somebody else and that somebody else can rely on.
Crazy. Yeah, of course, I believe you. But the next question from that, how we already talk, the boss, I mean, the company with who you work with, the owner has such a great experience with federal government construction and stuff, but still people like that, they get stuck into their business. They cannot find out the way how they can improve it. How you think why it's happening? Like how a person with such a big 18 years old experience behind and still can find out what is wrong inside of her own business.
Yes, I would say that one needs a lot of maturity in a sense to one can recognize that the person that is the most involved in a business is actually the business owner. And one of the things that every business owner wants is to be as involved in every single process as they can, because that way they can know that everything is on par with their standards and expectations. But being as involved, maybe there's a tendency for people to get like tunnel vision, and what an edge operating system manager does is basically just zoom out, is having somebody you can trust to the business owner. They have somebody they can trust that can step out of this tunnel vision and see the whole picture. And since they are both looking at every single step and every single process, they can also be involved in them, but with a bigger scheme of things. And that's the difference between being a business owner and being an HOS operations manager, because one can give us a few steps back, zoom out, and make decisions based on what we can see and what we can deliver.
Yeah, I see. I see. Sometimes it's really hard to understand what's wrong with you if you don't have this side part. I know, like kind of mentorship person who can just check from the side, because when you still inside of all of the processes, your eyes just become blind. I'm also curious about situation. I was prepared very well before our podcast with you. And really, I was impressed with your idea, how you decided to upload full WhatsApp of the company, put it inside of the cloud and make analysis of every messages, every chat, and figure out what was the gaps and what was the missing points inside of the business. Could you tell me a bit more about that? And how does it come for you to make exactly this idea with the WhatsApp? It's really very curious.
I think you're going to laugh at this, but the idea actually came from TikTok, because
Yeah.
I have seen that there are people that are exporting WhatsApp chats and uploading them into AI and asking AI if they are right or not. And that's where the idea came from. And that's just evidence that any great business idea can come from anywhere, literally. And I had been mapping workflows and how every single process worked and how a lead turned into a completed project with money on the bank. And I was described every single step, but business owners being busy as they are, their time is very precious and we have to take every single second into account. And that was why I was trying to be the most flexible about where I could get my information from. I tried to ask specific and straightforward questions to both the team and the business owner so I can get the best information. But I would say that WhatsApp chats are the actual receipt of how communication goes, how frequent communication is, and what is the specific information that maybe is not considered into the systems. And that's why it's being asked for in a WhatsApp group or WhatsApp chat. I would say that that is actually one of the best ways that you can know how communication goes, because that's the actual receipt in that sense. So, yes, the idea came from TikTok, actually.
Nice. I wish my algorithm also works that way, because for me in TikToks I only see some funny sketches. For me that's it. Wow, nice. No, really, I'm surprised. You see, nowadays you can find great ideas almost everywhere.
Yes.
If you continue to talking about the business with who you work with, this business runs through third-party administration. and you had to build completely separate workflows for each of them. So what does this flexibility feels like a map when you are brand new to the industry?
That's a great question, actually. I would say that it's in a specific part of the contracting business to be working with third party administrators, which actually brings a lot of confidence in part from the insured into this type of renovation companies and restoration companies because they are already selected by insurance companies and they already know that they can be trusted. And it can be a bit complicated to have a standardized system because every single TPA has its own claim follow up digital system. Most of them are web. So when you have many people in the same team working in different systems, it can become a little cluttered. But there's always an answer to everything once you start tracking how information moves through each system. And instead of adding new systems and adding new tools and making people adjust to a different system, you can just adjust to the team and adjust to the tools that they're already working with so they can be more organized and structured about how the information runs to through every single system. And it's fun to learn about how each TPA and claims insurance system works. It's very fun to see all of the market share that they get and how they approach the management of on their systems. And that's what we're bringing for them: some structures, some expectations that need to be both complied with and set so you can get this confidence around using the current systems that they already have.
And also you find out these things you call a transfer of brain problem, where the person on site or the people building the estimate are basically disconnected. And can you explain to people who watching us right now, the business owner, why does that gap come to business and what does it cost for business owners when they have this big difference?
Yes, remember that whenever you have a business that is as big as a 4 million revenue business, you always want to keep things, business owners always want to keep things as simple as possible. So it's very simple to just for an inspector to get on site, take a couple of pictures or maybe lots of pictures instead of writing notes down, just record a quick video with the notes and just getting that information and then have those pictures and videos sent through a WhatsApp group so anybody else can upload it to company cam. That's simple. But what EdgeOS brings to the table is standardizing the process as to maybe having a checklist around how every single claim can be addressed, in a sense that if it's a fire claim, what checks have to be double checked before uploading the pictures and who uploads the pictures, and it doesn't add that much workload. It just standardizes the process and makes things easier for the next stage, which would be the estimators in this case. And it's just the transfer of brain meeting. It's just a 5 minute quick call, a meeting with the estimation team in which the estimation team can make specific questions and direct ones. It's basically just going through the motions of how the inspection went. And it's a little step. It only takes 5 minutes, but a transfer of brain meaning is very important for estimators because it's a connected process. You know, a great estimation, a great inspection makes a great estimation, which makes a great budget, which makes a great project, which makes a lot of business value. So getting that transfer of brain meaning is very important and it's something really quick that can be done. It's not out of reach. And I'm very glad that this type of solutions can be suggested to clients to free up their agenda.
Yeah, I see. It's like butterfly effect. If you
Yes.
know what I'm talking about, it just somewhere far around, but it still can change whole world for
Yes.
business, for the system. I also like to make a lot of questions about money because I believe the people who are business owners who are watching us right now, for them is like the most important. So I know the story inside the company with who you work with. The job was finished in the summer and the payment for it did not come through until almost like 1 year later. It's honestly very long time, and it just was sat there, one document that never gonna been uploaded, and money like quietly fell through the crack. Could you walk me through the situation and what was actually happening there? Like why it's happened?
Yes, and I would say that this is one of the things that uploading chats into AI really helped with, because it identified when was the first time that the final document that it's required for payment was first introduced into the conversation and was asked for, and when it gave us a timeline as to when the actual project was closed, and we could observe that it was a very long time between those two dates. But it just keep into consideration that in order to have that document, that means that everything around the project went great, execution went out perfectly, budgeting went great, every supplement process that they went to actually went great too. And the final step of all of the process in order to get paid is signing that specific document. And it was just a little mishap in the operations, and it can happen anytime, anywhere, but it was as important as being the document that actually releases the money into a bank account. So that's why we strive to bring order and structure to the systems and the processes. So even that final step, that it's just the signature of a small document, but it's that important even after doing big things like renovating a house. It was a big project, but a single document can make the difference between having money in the bank and not having money in the bank. So that's where an Edge operating system operations manager comes in, and we make sure that this doesn't happen again. And it's allowed to happen. It happens to everyone, but that's the difference between having EdgeOS and not having it, because things don't fall through the cracks once you've installed EdgeOS.
I mean, could you also explain like step by step, like very easily for people who doesn't understand at all what is AGOS? Because I can put myself like on place of business owner who never thought, because I know even now AI is super popular, super cool. Everyone is talking, especially I think for us, our generation, we love AI, TikTok and everything. But still a lot of business owners who are, for example, like they are not even millennials, they're like boomer and more older people. For them, the technology is not so easy and they don't understand this kind of words what can talking about. So could you please explain for the type of people step by step slowly what you did, how this system in general working?
I would say that one of the things that I like the most about EdgeOS is how simple it is. You don't need to be tech savvy in order to install it. It's basically the most comprehensive guide around getting to know your business better. Once you get to know your business, you can take specific actions to make it better. And let's say, for example, the first step that we go through whenever we're installing EdgeOS is workflows, which is getting to know the processes inside of a business. It's mapping out how a lead turns into money in the bank, how it turns into a qualified lead, and how it turns into a sale. And then it may turn into a budget, and then it turns into an active project, and then it turns into a supplement, and then it turns into a closing document or a bills and vendors, and it has this transformation alongside the process, and who's responsible for every step, what happens all of the time, and what are the crucial or critical steps which their success brings either business value or a huge risk. So we get to know every single aspect of the business, and even just having the exercise of getting to know every single step and every single person and what every single role does on the daily, it brings a lot of perspective for business owners in their own. And we are actually giving active recommendations. We are experts in the industry, especially in the construction industry, but the same principles can be adapted for any business of basically any size and any amount of employees. So it's always about sticking to the basics, getting to know your business better, and that's how you can see how your business can grow and be more aligned for every single process and role to end up in the same goalpost.
I see. Thank you so much. I hope finally people who watching us today will understand a bit better what is EdgeOS. It's not something like from another planet, but it's really helped people a lot. And if you would say one useful tip for people who watching us right now, like something, what can they copy today and try to implement inside of their businesses on their own, like what it would be?
Whew, that's I would say making sure that everybody on the team has a clear idea of what they're doing every day and sticking to the habit of using any calendar that you have available, like Google Calendar, and scheduling your day and making sure that if there are tasks that are the biggest priority, the highest priority, that they can be done in that day, and that you can ask people that you can tell people that you are unavailable for just a quick slot in your day, so you can be focused on that and give then your attention to other team members, other roles. It's great to have an agenda. It's great to have a calendar. It's great to have that structure, even for oneself. But if everybody has it, it's amazing actually what it can do to save up time and take care of time, because at the end of the day it is true, time is money.
But let's also talk about the wild part, because $4 million company, you sitting with them on onboarding, and the people cannot answer simple question what their profit is, what their margin, and how many customers they actually did. But how the company can make $4 million and they don't understand, they don't have a system inside, like how you can know what is your real profit is if you don't understand what is your spends, how many clients you have, like how it can happen?
I would say that anybody that has a great service that actually solves a problem for somebody else can get money in their bank accounts in that specific sense. And getting those bank accounts can be your source of truth, but it can be a bit incomplete. It may happen, as we said earlier, things do fall through the cracks, and maybe checks are not being deposited or money is not getting into the bank accounts. And that's why we need this structure, we need these processes, we need this accountability around how information changes hands, to have this information. But it's, even if you don't budget, even if with your personal money, anybody who has an income, even if you don't budget, you know roughly how much money comes in and how much, but most of the time people don't have in their heads how much money comes out. And getting those specific numbers actually set a great foundation around where you are, where you've been, and most importantly, where you want to be and how to get there. So it's very important to have those numbers in check. And one can start with just 1 month. You don't have to do a 5-year projection of your income and of revenue. You don't need to do that. With just starting with a single month, you can get in the habit of recording every single, let's say, dollar that comes in and out. And getting into that habit is possible. It can be done. And in Edge, you get a specific operations manager that can basically hold your hand through the process. And that's what's great about it. It can always be improved. You can always get that information, and you just have to be as committed to do it just for a single month, and it can have a very great deal of impact in your business.
But it's honestly very difficult if you don't have this real financial structure, because for example me, I'm using it in my life, personal life, because I understand that if I want to optimize my investment, I need to take money from something. Okay, now today it's good, this month I make great amount of money, last 2 years was good, like I have my like salary growing up, I'm happy, I'm glad, but still it's for me so strange how people can don't do it and they don't see where the money goes, this leaks, because you can, okay, you're still doing great, but if you can optimize your business, it makes for me like your business gonna live a bit longer, because anyway, like 1 year is good, another year can be a bit better, and it's very important to be prepared to all situations in your life, not only in business but in personal.
Yes.
And what is the one mistake what owners make when they start to work with first time with HOS manager? Like, what is this common mistake?
I would say that maybe not asking questions, in a sense that yes, one as a operations manager is proactive around giving out information and communicating with clients, with business owners. It is very important. But even if it can be, the concept of an edge operating system can be a bit abstract, but we are, as operations managers, we are always up to answering questions. We are always up to being challenged. You know, in a sense, we are prepared. We trust this system. We've seen it be successful. So asking questions and challenge your operations manager can always bring a huge deal of growth and a great communication dynamic that can be very fruitful for both the relationship with your operations manager and the relationship of your operations manager with your business and your systems.
Again, coming back to the money question, how you think, how that you as operations manager, you're inside the business, you handle processes, but what exactly of your work helps businesses to make more money? Like, where does it show up first?
As I said, time is money. So whenever a business owner takes their hands of every single process, and every single small detail, every single step in their processes, that frees them up and it gives them time to be thinking about more strategic processes and making strategic decisions for growth. And it can be basically instant whenever a business owner is freed up from a decision that they have to take daily because it's a daily operations base. They can start thinking more about the future. And when you think about the future, you are able to plan ahead. You are able to assess risk. And that means that you can make more money and retain that money in the future. And that it's basically an investment, you know, getting to sit down and think about strategic plans for your business. And ultimately that is a task that you cannot delegate to anybody else because it is your business, and you need to be behind the wheel around the future of the business instead of everyday present things, you know.
I wish we could delegate that kind of stuff to Claude, but for now, Claude does it good in this. Better not to ask how I can make more money.
Yes.
Let's talk about one of the sprint which we have in each. It's a library because I understand that it's very important that in company every person correctly understand position. It's no repeatable like things which couple of people do and they do the same work, so it's kind of useless. And you as operations manager, when you find out that in a company it's like one person doing one job and second one doing the same or just check it out. So in general, it's like just wasting your time, as we say, and time is money. Like, how did you speak with the team? Like, how you try to explain them that, well, guys, let's change something because this kind of stuff is useless. We waste time. We don't need both people do the same stuff in the team. Everyone should be on his own place. How does it go?
Yeah, I would say that in general, everybody who's been in a role which has duplicated tasks with somebody else already knows that there is a duplicated task or there are more checks in place that there should be. So the team members that I have worked with have been very open to giving out information, to letting me know what their daily work looks like, because they know that these duplicates have to be identified and assigned to any specific person. So only one people do it, and they actually acknowledge the improvement that comes from assigning people to a specific task instead of just saying, hey, team, there is X thing that needs to be executed. Whenever somebody can do it, do it. That's very different from saying John has to do this specific task, but by this specific time today. And that's how you avoid those duplicates. And the team is always very open to being part of the solution and making the business grow, because it actually does take some of the tasks that are duplicated off their plates. And it's very, I feel very supported by that business team that I have been working with currently, actually, because they are very competent, they are very hardworking, and I like to honor those values with making their experience, their daily operations more efficient. And it's great to help them out in that way.
Yeah, I understand. Honestly, it's great when you have this connection and you don't need to ask about some simple, small task every time because you understand that it's gonna help, but people, they don't want. So I'm glad about you and your story. And now we go into the final part. It's my favorite because today I will ask you questions, or for example, I will read the sentence and you need to answer with only one word. So it's like quick fire, super easy answers. You need to answer the first what came to your mind. So we're gonna understand a bit how
Okay.
that things go. It's very natural, don't need to prepare nothing. Just go with the flow and tell me when you're ready. So we're gonna start.
Okay.
How many processes and tasks are you usually touching in a week?
A lot.
Without numbers. Favorite part of this work?
Ooh, the morning. Yes, the morning. Scheduling.
Morning huddle. What is the most common thing on owners is doing manually that they should have handled off months ago?
Clearing up their inboxes.
Yeah. The first number you look and you then start walking inside of the business.
Revenue.
Nice one. What is the one thing you wish every business owner understood about working with Edge Operations Manager?
How successful they can be with EdgeOS.
Wow, I like your answer. So, guys, for everyone who's watching us, you understand now what is your way to success. And I want to say thank you so much for such a great conversation which we have today. I really enjoy all topics, everything what we discussed. I'm really impressed by you, and it's so nice to see such young people with a lot of energy who educated and has it like wild worldwide view and understanding on every processes. And I want to give you some like last sentences. Maybe you want to say something to people who watching us. Like maybe you want to wish something. You have some thoughts after our conversation. So welcome.
I'd say that even if anything that we've talked about connects with you, there are lots of great operation managers at Edge that can help you out, be more successful, bring more success to your business. And we are always willing to help. We are always excited about working together with business owners because that is very hard work. And it's great to see how it can be turned into more efficient work other than just piling up workload. It's a great calling, let's say, to help business owners. And we're always willing, we're very competent, and we're always open to meeting all of you and your teams and your business and how you are solving people's problems out there. And it's great to be part of that mission.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that podcast and for all your answers. And for you guys, if you want an operations manager like Paola installing the system inside of your business, so it's gonna help you from falling from the cracks. So go to virtualassistant.com and book a call with us today. Thank you so much.